Ever since I was a kid, I've always believed in something, meaning to life, that there was a purpose and that there was some kind of spiritual entity out there that defined the way that we exist. Something that had a say in the flow of reality, the flow of time and destiny, fate. I always believed in that, even from a very young age. And I remember times where I would pray to this idea of God. When I was younger, I was surrounded by Christianity. The school I went to was a very Christian school, but my experience with Christianity as a child was a very bad one. The pressures that were put on me and the way it was shown to me was not done in a good manner, which ultimately led me away from Christ and Christianity as a whole. I was lost for years and I had a very worldly life. I used to think about such vain things, numbers and people and social status, and acting out in a certain way for attention, and how I presented myself visually, how I looked, and how many girls I could talk to, and all of these kind of worldly simple things. For a very long time, that was something that controlled me in a sense, until around 2023. My granddad was diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer. It had a massive impact on my mum. Through that, my mum came into Christianity and started practicing it and started to believe in it and explore it more. And in her search of meaning, I suppose, and finding things out, she sat me down one day and spoke to me about what she had learned. And she said that if you are ever in a pinch, in a difficult situation, or you feel like you have no way out, you should call for Jesus by name and ask him to save you. I was interested and intrigued, but I held on to that information from my mum and sat with it for a few days and really mulled it over, thinking about it. And a few days after I had that conversation with my mum, I felt really ill with a grave headache. It was exhausting and excruciating. I couldn't stay standing without feeling extremely nauseous and dizzy. And I couldn't stay standing. I couldn't do anything. And my head was in so much pain. And the only answer that I could find was to go to sleep. It was the middle of the day when this happened. And I went to the bed. I laid down and closed my eyes. And in that time when I was asleep, I had a dream. And I could see myself from all three perspectives. I was laying down flat horizontally like this. And I could see myself from an above point of view, from a below point of view, and I could see through my own eyes all at once. And while I was sat there watching myself and seeing through my eyes, these hands, these red salamander like lizard hands, started grabbing on my body, on my shoulders, on my arms, and my legs, and more and more and more just started grabbing onto me, and they started pulling me down. And I was floating in this empty void of darkness, but I knew that I was in stasis or falling, and I was here, and they were pulling me down, and I could feel it and feel the weight on my chest and on my arms, and I was being pulled and pulled and pulled. I remember in that moment I was feeling absolute terror. I can confidently say that in that moment then I knew I was going to die. With 100% confidence in my chest, I was going to die that day. I sat there and I knew it, and I was so certain of it, and I felt that impending doom in my chest. And in that moment I remember that conversation with my mum where she said, if you feel like you have no escape, call out for Jesus. And I did, and I screamed it at the top of my lungs. I said, Jesus, save me. And in that moment, a flash of light, I remember a flash of light came in front of me, and a hand reached out, and I grabbed the hand, and I woke up. It was an encounter with Jesus, and I know this. I know this was an encounter with Jesus Christ. And since that encounter with Jesus, I've been a Christian since then, completely. I knew who my Savior was. I knew who God was in that moment. I didn't even need to know anything about Christianity. I didn't need to know anything about the Bible or anything. In that moment, I called out to Jesus to save me, and he did. Over the years, the last 3 years since then, I have come closer to Christ. I have fallen short many, many, many times. I have disgusted myself by my own behavior. Again and again and again, I have been forgiven. Again and again, I have been given another chance. I have been given space. I've been given time and patience. Something that I don't deserve, something that I've never deserved, and something that I never will. But Jesus gives that to you, and Jesus gave that to me. Still to this day, I'm working on my relationship with Christ. I'm building myself constantly, and I'm trying to get closer. I'm reading more of the Word. I'm learning more about it, and I'm spending a lot more time in prayer, and I'm focusing my life around Christ. For so long, even after that encounter, I spent so long focusing on the world, getting so caught up on worldly things, and it only brought me pain and negativity and difficulty. And since I've fully given my life to Christ, since I've gone full in, and I only go to Christ, and I've given up worldly things, things have only gone better for me. People will do the same stuff. They will insult, they will attack, they will victimize themselves, they will do all kinds of things, and that it used to affect me so much. Someone would say something about my hair or my face or my weight, and it would absolutely torment me for days on end. But now it does nothing to me. It has no effect, because I know where I'm going, and I know that it doesn't matter. I know who I serve. The entire point of everything that I'm doing now is to become a better Christian, to become closer to Christ, to be the best version of myself, the absolute pinnacle of who I can be. That is everything that I'm doing. That's everything I'm doing with this channel, everything I'm doing in general. That's my whole purpose. It's why I do my boxing. It's why I read. It's why I play chess. It's why I work out. It's why I upload these videos. It's why I go to do the things that I'm doing. It's why I pursue this life. Because I want to be the best version of myself humanly possible. And the only reason I want to be the best version of myself is so I can be the closest to Christ I can be. Because that's all that matters. That's all I care about. So that's my testimony. That's my truth. That's my reason. And I'd really love to hear what you guys have to say about your testimonies. I want to hear how you came to Christ. I want to hear why you haven't come to Christ. I want to understand people better, and I want to understand myself better. So if you want to talk about it in the comments, I'm very, very happy to do that. Very glad that we can do that and talk about it. This is my truth. This is my testimony. Thank you for watching.